The Boston Uprising. Yes. Are they rising up? Maybe. A lot of their players that have joined the team look pretty sick. Let's go through. They kept Lost and added. They've kept Punk, Faith, Valentine. They've lost Fusions, Color Hex, Myunbong, IM37, Stand 1, Gable Sheet. They've added Crimson, Striker, Marvel, MCD, Victoria, and Istal most recently. Now, the Uprising have been a mediocre team across its lifetime in the Overwatch League, bottoming out the standings more often than not, apart from the inaugural season, of course. They've lost their hard carry in Myunbong, who went to the NYXL, but have gained a ton to actually replace that kind of hard carry potential. Now, let's start with the DPS real fast. Superstar Tracer player is back on the roster. We have Striker. Who could have predicted this? I don't think anybody, honestly. It was a bit odd, him retiring mid-season when he was on the shock, and that kind of worries me slightly for the Boston Uprising. Because if they lose Striker, they lose a key piece in what I think will be their success for this year, or key piece for their success for this year. If he doesn't end up retiring or do some weird, like, maybe I'll sit back and let other people play, I think the team is going to do exceptionally well. A game that I think is going to be focused more around DPS players and Tracer getting a speed boost, or like DPS getting a speed boost, I think Striker can do exceptionally well. Valentine is also sticking with the team. While Valentine hasn't been, wasn't as like hard carrying as Myunbong was last season, with Striker at his back, I think that he's actually going to do pretty well. Normally when you play with better players, you end up getting better yourself because you're aiding in their success and just becoming better as a player. That's just kind of what happens. Striker's going to be able to level Valentine up, I can imagine. Now, like I said, he wasn't a crazy cracked out DPS player. Now, Victoria also joins the team. This is a player that I want to talk about, mainly because he has an incredibly short history as a player. Like insane levels of short history. He's super new. And he's only ever played for Boston teams. There might have been some C-listing teams here and there, but like main teams on Liquipedia right now, he's only played for Boston teams. He played for the Uprising Academy, where there's a fair few first place finishes on his record, but that's about it. He's that new to the game, or like maybe not to the game, but to the competitive scene like tier 2, tier 1 in the Overwatch League now. I am quite unsure about this player because of that extremely short history, but he has been in the Uprising Academy or like the Boston esports ecosphere for a little while, so that can kind of play into it a little bit. I can imagine he was talking to a lot of the Boston Uprising players, and just the coaching staff maybe would have been helping there here and there as well. So that is quite exciting in a sense, and I think Victoria can do fairly well. He did look really good when he was on the Uprising Academy, but that incredibly short history does worry me slightly. So we got 2 worry points for the DPS. Will Striker retire mid-season again, or will Victoria underperform because he hasn't had that much crazy competitive experience? We'll have to wait and see. But I do worry for the DPS line. Now, the tanks. Oh my word. From the Seoul Dynasty, we have Marvel. What an amazing pickup by them. This is crazy. A Boston Uprising I'd never see pick up players of this caliber have done just that in 2022. What a weird couple of years. 3 years at this point we've lived in. Strange. Now, he has played both tank roles historically, but he's been playing a lot more off-tank recently for the Seoul Dynasty. Can he cover both of them? Probably, but at this point in time, I think his off-tank is probably stronger than his main tank. Does anybody look at Boston, almost like the Toronto Defiant, and get a little bit confused because you're seeing a lot of good players getting picked up by these teams that have historically done incredibly badly and now could potentially do extremely well? What? It's very confusing to my brain. What is happening? 2022 really do be wild. Are they still going to suck? Signs point to no, just because of the players they picked up. If they do end up sucking, well, something is wrong with the infrastructure within Boston Uprising or Defiant. Very, very strange. I'm hopeful though. I am very hopeful, especially with picking up people like Striker and Marvel. Punk is still on the roster too, an incredibly solid player that Boston Uprising have kept. I do think he'll be playing a lot more of the off-tank role. Maybe Marvel will just switch into main tank once again. Again, that's kind of up for debate, but I think more often than not, we're going to see just Marvel take over the off-tank, and we'll see Punk come in every now and then to fill in those gaps. We do have another player joining the roster for the tank line. Istal, a third tank player. Boston are picking up every player under the sun. What? This, in my mind, is a very strange pickup, because I don't think many teams right now are going to be wanting 3 tanks on their roster when the role has been reduced to only 1 in the server. Very strange pickup. He is ex-Gen G, and he did do well in contenders. He is a main tank player, which is great, but would you have Marvel in playing main tank over Istal? That is the question. It's a bit of a strange pickup, honestly. I think you'd rather have Marvel just starting, more often than not, playing both the roles and then Punk filling in. We'll see where Istal does end up fitting into this mix, if he ever does, or if they just kind of permabench him like Boston have kind of done in previous years. Like, it's a very strange one to me. But you know what? If it ends up working out, more power to you, Boston. The more players you have in the roster, hey, the more coverage you have of the hero pools. Good stuff. I realized I said hero pools. I meant the hero pools of the players, not like hero pools as in the game and like Overwatch League like they did before. Just want to clear up that quick confusion. Let's move on to supports. Faith is still on the roster. Rather mediocre, but I'm not sure if that was just him living in Myeonbong's shadow. Myeonbong was a crazy hard carry for the team last year, the last couple of years. It was stuck in shadow, I think. The question is, will he play over Crimzor and MCD? He is the only main support player, so signs point to yes, so it makes it incredibly likely. But Overwatch 2, maybe we see it transition into double flex support sometimes. So I think a lot of teams in general at this point, and the way I've thought about the game and the way I've talked to Colin Vavast and Connor and like Sideshow about it, is that maybe we do end up seeing a double flex support meta. So having that in your back pocket, don't think a bad thing whatsoever. So he can kind of sub in every now and then if there is double flex support meta with Crimzo and MCD in the lineup. If we do need like a Lucio player, Brig player, I think Faith can fill that role pretty well. But he hasn't been crazy like Myeonbong has. But again, kind of living in his shadow, maybe. I think Crimzo is one of the best Western flex supports we have. A very good pickup. A very, very good pickup from Boston. And only strengthened by MCD. I think MCD can perform exceptionally well. I think there's very good points on each of the roles within the team. I think having Crimzo is amazing. Having Faith there as well is going to be good. I hope that he kind of lives up. Well, not even lives up to the hype, but like just becomes a better support player and like is not kind of overshadowed by Myeonbong and just kind of the team historically doing incredibly bad. I think in general, the tank lineup is going to be good with Marvel and Striker too if he doesn't retire mid-season. Now, the Boston Uprising, yes, this could be kind of a redemption arc and, you know, a Faith redemption arc maybe as well. I think Boston having 9 players is too many. Realistically, with 5 players in the server at any one time, I do think it's too many, especially in the tank role. But classic Boston, having a humongous team and benching players, possibly perma-benching. I really hope that doesn't become the case because it can't feel good as a player being perma-benched. They have made some good pickups, yes, but my brain almost still can't get past the fact that they are the Boston Uprising. I do hope that these picks end up changing the trajectory of the Boston Uprising and shooting them up the ladder, but time will only tell. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. See ya.